Greetings, friends. Marc David here, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. Happy 2017. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining me. We are going to have a conversation today about timeless coaching tips, learning to time shift. What does that even mean, right? Sounds really, really cool and interesting, hopefully, to you. But it's a great coaching tip that you can use if you're a professional, and it's also a great tip to use just if, God, you're a human being alive on planet Earth and you like to communicate with other people and you like to kind of get your point across and make a difference and help what you have to communicate land better. So that's what this conversation is about. I think you're going to like this tip. I know you might not know what I mean by time shifting just yet. You will in a few moments. Hello, time shifters, says Magdalena. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. So here's what I'm going to do while I am waiting for people to come on to this Facebook Live session. If you wouldn't mind, say hi in the comments section below. Let me know where you're from. Hi, Megan. Thank you so much. Glad you're here. Appreciate you being on this journey with me, with each other. You know, I'm interested in having conversations that matter. Hello, Miss Jamie. I hope you're doing well. I'm interested in having conversations that matter. I'm interested in what helps move us forward. What helps move us forward when it comes to how we serve others, how we help others, especially in the realm of eating psychology, nutrition. Melanie, thanks so much. Glad you're here. I appreciate you coming by from New Zealand. Is that where you are? Oh, Canada. Okay, thanks for being here. Hello, Miss Cypress J. from Northern California. I used to live in Sonoma County and loved it there. Demi from rainy and cold North Carolina. Really? Ooh. And I was thinking of visiting North Carolina. Great beaches there, by the way, and good surfing. So, again, the conversation in a few minutes, I'm going to dive into timeless coaching tips, learning how to time shift, which I think you are going to like. Also, let me let you know, while we're waiting for people to jump in there, thanks, Cypress, let me remind you, we, meaning the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, we are currently enrolling for the Eating Psychology and Mind-Body Nutrition Certification Training. This is our 8-month online distance learning professional training that you can take from anywhere in the universe, mostly the world. And it's going to train you how to become an eating psychology and mind-body nutrition coach. So, you know, all the kind of timeless tips that I mention in these Facebook Lives, that's what we dive into in the training. Hello, Miss Christina Jensen Mills from Seattle. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming by. So yeah, as you jump onto the Facebook Live, feel free to say hi. Feel free to let me know where you're from. And also know that if you like this page, that helps you, that helps us. You'll get alerts to any time I'm coming on to Facebook Live. So just like the page, you'll be alerted. And you can share this with anyone. So you can certainly do that. And if they like the page, they'll get alerted. So that's the good news. Hello, Miss Anna. Program is a must-have. That's so sweet. Denise is saying hi from Columbia, South Carolina. I appreciate you dropping by. I appreciate you being in this conversation. And I want to say happy 2017 to you all. Also want to say this. Here's what I'm sort of doing this year. I've been doing this the last, actually, bunch of years instead of New Year's resolutions, which for me, in my brain, what I usually do with a New Year's resolution is I'm thinking, what do I want for this coming year? So sort of go in, what do I want? And then, oh, okay, that's what I want. That's my goals. And that's good. We got to know what we want. Another way to look at that is, what's the world wanting of me this year? What's life wanting from me? What's the creative power of the universe wanting from me? So if there was a higher wisdom wanting something and not just my little brain and my little ego wanting something for myself, what would that look like? So instead of my New Year's resolution, it's the world's New Year's resolution for me, if there is such a thing. So that's kind of what I'm looking to tune into. Magdalena says, I can highly recommend the online course, a true eye and mind and heart opener on many levels. I really appreciate you saying that, Magdalena. Thanks so much. And by the way, if anybody's interested in finding an eating psychology coach. Here they are. Please feel free to identify yourself if you're online and in this thread. Jennifer says, food addiction is real and I battle every day. I appreciate your Facebook post. Jennifer, I'm glad you're getting benefit from our world. I do appreciate that. That's the point. You know, we're here to have conversation that matters, and we're here to help move each other forward because life is so much better when we do it that way. Okay, so once again, this conversation, it's for you if you're a coach, a counselor, a healer, a helping professional. It's for you if you find yourself in any roles, whether you're a parent, whether you're a friend, whether you're a mentor to someone, anytime you are looking to move things forward with a person and help what you have to say land. So a coaching tip could be for us professionals. Sheila, eating psychology coach in LA. Yes, good for you. So anytime you need to have your communication land, we need to know how to communicate effectively. So timeless coaching tip. You know, every session, learning to time shift. So what does that mean? Learning to time shift. Every session, really, with a client is a study in how you use your time. Think about it because, okay, let's say it's an hour session. Ooh, 60 minutes, that's a precious amount of time. Your client is paying you money for it. Maybe you have another session after that. So that's 60 minutes time. There's the value, there's the construct. How are we going to make that time really count? How are we going to make that time matter? So every session has this invisible structure. It kind of has a beginning, like a lot of things in life. It has a middle, like a lot of things in life. It has an end. Beginning, middle, end. There's a flow to things. So part of time shifting is learning how to use time and our sense of time to our advantage. Just let me say this, when you and I are not using time to our advantage, what does it look like? It looks like we're in a rush. It looks like we're wasting time. It looks like we're ineffective. It looks like I'm not sure what I'm doing, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to get done. And do you ever be at a presentation and the presenter has all these slides and she or he wants to get through all their slides and there's 10 minutes left to go in their presentation and they're whipping through 100 slides to get through everything? Not a good use of time. Hello, Miss Gina. Glad you're here. So every session is a study in how you're using your time, and we want to make time our ally. We want to use it to our advantage. So one way to do that is time shifting to treat each session as if it was your last session on earth. Treat each session with a client as if it's your last session on earth. So if it's my last session on earth that I'm delivering, Gina says, hello from Mexico, great subject. I think it is. I love this. Let me step back for one moment about this time business. You've had the experience. You know this. Time slows down or time speeds up. Or you're in this loving environment, this loving situation, and everything becomes timeless and magical. We like when that happens. Now, of course, sometimes time is moving so slow and you're in so much pain and you want to get the heck out of there. So that certainly happens. But on another level, time can enter this sort of magical zone. So if I'm treating every session as if it's my last, I am valuing that time. I'm really valuing that time. Now, I don't know if you've ever done this before, if you ever thought to yourself, if you knew you had 24 hours to live, what would you do with those 24 hours? That's a great study in how you would use your time. So when I say to you, treat every session as your last, what I mean is be on alert. Because everything you do matters. This is how you're going out. This is how you're going to be remembered. This is how you're going to remember your final time on earth. So in other words, make every communication count. Make every word count. Make every gesture count. Make every look count with your client. Make every glance count. Let them know, you're letting them know silently how important this session is. When you and I are able to communicate to the people that we're with, whether you're with your client or whether you're with your friend, your loved one, your kid, your parent, whoever, if they're getting the sense that you are valuing this time with them, wow, who's going to argue with that? I can feel when somebody's valuing their time with me. And it happens now because I get to see a lot of my friends much less because I work a lot. So when I see my friends and when I travel to the East Coast and see people I haven't seen in years, or I travel to the West Coast, or I go to Hawaii, wherever it is, when I'm with friends, like, well, all of a sudden we're valuing the time together. By the way, thanks everybody who's jumping in. Peggy, I'm so glad you're here. Andrea says we can apply this to everything. Isn't that a great thing? Demi, thanks for dropping by. Nancy from Canada. Nadej, also, thanks for your contribution. So, and Hetty, glad you joined. So, treating every session as if it's our last, meaning you are committed to making every word that comes out of your mouth count. And we know it. Each other, we pick up on that. Okay, if you're trying to get to your next session, if you're thinking what you're going to make for dinner, if your mind is wandering, that's going to be your last session on earth. Your mind wandered and you were wondering whether you were going to cook boil the broccoli or steam it. I don't know. Make every session count. Gina says, I love that idea, but I sometimes find myself being overwhelmed because I'm trying to do too much in just 1 hour. What could you recommend for those cases? Oh, I love this question. Thank you for asking. So, Gina and everybody, here's the paradox. I'm finding myself trying to do too much in 1 hour. What a good thing. So here's the paradox. You're going to treat every session as if it's your last, but you're going to also create spaciousness around it. Seems like a paradox. So even though this is our last moment together, we can make spaciousness around that moment. We could make time stand still. So the way to fix the challenge that you're saying is let go of doing too much, let go of doing a lot, and focus on just one thing. Focus on each thing that you say. Just pull back and let the moment dictate. So a lot of times our head is driving the show. Oh my God, I got to deliver great information to my client. How can I do that? Because if I deliver great information to my client, I'm going to be a good person, and that becomes about me. But when I'm fully invested in my client, he just might need to hear one thing, one salient point, one juicy thing. So, yes, Magdalena, we're breathing, we're feeling the magic of the present moment. We're trusting in the present moment. So notice where you start to get antsy, anxious, oh my God, I got to do something. And yes, we go into trust because we're not the ones doing anything anyway. Gina said, I learned to embrace paradox when I started training. Thanks. This is another one to my list. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Peggy says, so in other words, think before I speak. Yes, but it's more, yes. It's more than thinking before we speak. It is feeling before we speak. It's thinking before we speak. It's downloading the universe before we speak. Because oftentimes when I are with our client, there's something wants to come through in that moment. There's a greater wisdom than my brain can figure out. But if I'm relaxed, if I'm trusting, if I'm holding the sense, this is my last session ever, my desire is to make it my best in my last session. My desire is to give to my client everything they need. So I'm going to compress time by deepening into the truth. So when I say something, I'm not going to necessarily say it faster. So if this is my last session with a client, I'm not going to be, okay, got to squeeze everything in here. No, not even that. This is our last session together. So I really want, so now I'm not saying this to a client, okay? So forget that. However, if I want to make a very powerful point, if I want to shake my client up a bit, I might say to them, hey, You know something? Here's what I would tell you. If this was my last session on earth, if this was our last session ever together and my last, you know something? Here's what I would tell you. And I definitely want to make my last moments in the world count. So I'm very honored in that way, Mr. and Mrs. Client. When you tell your client, if you were my last client, if this was my last session on earth, here's what I would say to you. You bet they're going to listen. So it's the little tricks that we do to help listening happen. So if this is my last session, I'm going to speak with the most possible love. I'm going to speak with the most possible wisdom. I'm going to come from my heart. I'm going to come from my soul. Because you know when somebody's talking to you from their head, it just sounds very forced when we're talking from our head. And I think you should do this when you eat or not do that or put the fork down. People feel us. They feel our heart, they feel our soul, they feel our intention. They feel when we are present with them, and it counts for us. So obviously you're not going to be perfect at this all the time, and you're not going to say, okay, well, this is my last session, let me cram everything in there. I'm not saying that whatsoever. Forget about cramming everything in. I'm saying make that time count. Because when we make the time count, then the time has value. Then you've offered value. I believe, this is my religious belief system, I think on a certain level the universe keeps score. You know, it keeps score of value. There's a lot of nonsense that gets sold in the world that isn't high quality, that doesn't have value. You might pay money for something and it's not worth it. The way to have a successful practice is to be worth it, is for your time to be worth it for others. One of the ways you and I really make our time worth it is that we make our time worth it, is that I am so valuing our time together that I'm acting as if this is my last session. So I'm going to deliver my best. So I'm sorry if I keep repeating myself. That comes across to people. They get that. And it comes across to you and me because when I come from that place, there's a part of me that feels unstoppable. There's a part of me that loses all fear. And I'm willing to say what I need to say. There's a part of me that drops more into love. Because I want my last moments on the planet to be loving. So if you were my last session, I want it to be filled with love. I want it to be filled with soul. And I want to deliver my absolute best, which means I'm valuing the truth in that moment more than my ego, if that makes sense. Melanie says, if we are giving our all with our heart, soul, and intellect for every session, how many would you suggest to schedule in a day before suffering from emotional burnout? Oh, I like that question. Melanie, here's what I think. When I do this, when I'm doing what I'm telling you that I'm doing, and I do my best, you know, I would say at the height of my private practice, you know, I would see no more than 30, 35 clients a week, which is a lot. But I would say over the years of my kind of counseling times, when I was doing it a lot, I was averaging between 20 to 35 clients a week. And when I was coming from my full gusto, when I was coming from, Gina says my max is 3 a day, you know, everybody has their limits for sure. You know, some people are clear, hey, that's my max. Good for you. You got to know your limit. When I'm coming from my heart and soul, I'm rejuvenating myself. I come out with more energy. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not tired at the end of the day, but I'm tired at the end of the day anyway, because I just had a day. So to me, Melanie, I want to answer your question by saying that when we give it our all from a deep place, we're coming from a self-regenerating place. So we are actually... We're actually lighting and kindling our own fire as we go along instead of burning out. The place where we get burned out, try this on, my friends. Just try it on. The place where we get burned out, the common place where we get burned out, is we're trying to do too much. We're trying to fix the other person. Oh Oh my God, you have all these problems. Now I have to use my head to solve your problems and figure out how to make you happy with your body, lose the weight you want, make your relationship better. Come on. That's not what we're here for. You know that we can't fix other human beings. So as you come from heart, soul, you're regenerating yourself. Sarah Lee says, I found that going into a session open-minded to how life has been unfolding is key. Got this from you, me. Simply asking in the beginning how things been the past week or two creates such an open space. It does. It does. You're just being real with people. You're stepping out of what you think is the client, coach role, and stop treating people as if they're these hamsters that you have to operate on or fix. It's you talking to another human being. Yes, they're relying on you for your distinctions, your learning, your expertise for sure, but a coach, a counselor is doing that. We are coaching, we are counseling. Mike from Texas, glad you jumped in here. Thank you for coming by. So it's about being complete and not holding back. It's about bringing all of you into the session. When you and I bring all of us into any experience, you bring all of you into a conversation, you bring all of you into the holiday experience with your family, you bring all of you into the date, you bring all of you into that meeting. Yeah, you might expend energy, but at the end of the day, it's the kind of energy expenditure that's good. Do you ever finish up a day and you did the right amount of exercise, you did the right amount of work, you gave of yourself and you're tired, but it's a good tired. It's the kind of tired where you deserve a good rest. You've given of yourself. Burnout happens when we're trying to fix people. It really does. When we're trying to save everybody and we're trying to be superwoman and superman, it doesn't work, my friends. Treating every session as if it's our last one doesn't just mean what you say. It means how we listen. Because if this was my last conversation with a client, with a human being on planet Earth, man, do I want to listen really well. Because the better I listen, the smarter I'm going to sound when I talk. It's plain and simple. Because your relationship with your client is a dance. Yeah, it's a dance between taking them in and then delivering something to them. And taking them in, listening, absorbing, feeling them. Bringing it all together inside yourself, intermixing it, and then delivering something. But before you say, we listen. So when it's my last session with a client, my senses are heightened more. I am really listening. And when I say really listening, I mean listening to what they're saying, and I also mean listening beneath the words. And listening for what's beneath the words, that's a lifelong practice. That's a skill that we develop over time. You might not know what I mean, but when I say that, but you already do it. So there are people that speak to you that you know, friends, family, loved ones, partners, whatever. There are people that you know that when they speak, you could actually hear beneath their words. They might say one thing and you know that they're actually saying the opposite. Okay, so you have people that you do that with. I just got a few loves across the street, so you know what I'm talking about. That's what we learn to do with clients. We learn how to listen in such a way that, oh, okay, it feels like what you're saying is actually what you're meaning, and sometimes what they're saying is very different. So we listen more deeply. So we're listening to energy. We're listening to who knows what, the heart, the soul, deeper place. But like I say, we do this already. We do it already. You know what it feels like. It's learning how to take that talent that you might have with this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in your life and start to create that same talent with your clients. Because when you do, once again, you become more valuable. How many times does it happen with a client who comes to see me? It might take 10, 15 minutes and they're coming to see me. Yeah, I want to work on my health. I want to eat better. So I'm going to say, okay, well, what exactly about your health do you want to work on? Oh, I just want to be healthier. I just want to feel good about myself. And I'm not quite getting in. And finally, asking the right questions, and I'm listening, and what I'm hearing beneath them is they want to lose weight. But they're afraid to say it. They're afraid to just come right out and say, I want to lose weight. So they're tying that into, oh, I just want to be healthy. No, it's great that you want to lose weight. Say it, own it, be happy about it. Let's talk about it. So sometimes that process of helping your client get clear because you've heard beneath their words, you're helping invite them out. Because clients aren't always comfortable telling us exactly what they want because they're a little afraid they're going to be judged because they've been judged before. They're certainly judging themselves. So if it's my last session, you bet I'm going to make sure that all the little judgments that might be happening get handled. I just breathe through any judgment or withholds that I might have about the other person. It doesn't matter what they are. I just breathe through them. I move through them. And I'm committed to delivering truth. I'm committed to letting go of my ego. Mike says, thank you so much. I have to catch the replay. I missed most of it. Have a great evening. Mike, I'm glad you came by. Again, there's a few people saying that, hey, this is something to do in life. So true. It's so easy for the mind to get caught up in the past or what I want in the future. And damn, we miss the moment, which has a lot of mojo. The power is in the moment. Part of the challenge, my friends, that our clients experience, and I'm talking any eating challenge, weight, body image, overeating, binge eating, emotional eating, endless dieting with nothing happening. Part of the challenge is our clients can't get present in the moment. They can't embody. They can't be with themselves now. They are so freaked out about their unwanted habit, about their body, about their weight, about their shape, about what they want, that they can't sink into this moment. And they're living in the future. When I lose the weight, when I change, when I don't overeat, when I don't binge eat. And when we're treating each session as if it's our last, we are helping them land in the moment. When you help somebody land in the moment, in one sense, you're helping them embody. They're getting present. Has that ever happened to you? You're kind of walking around, you're in your head, you're doing whatever you're doing, and you bump into somebody who you really want to see, and all of a sudden, like, you're just present. You're in your body. Some people do that for us. They just make us land here. Do that for your client. Because they have trouble being in their body to begin with. That's why they're coming to see you. They need help being in a body. Humans need help being in a body, if you haven't noticed. That's how we pop out the womb. You pop out the womb, you're not locked and loaded. You don't know how to change your own diapers. You don't know how to feed yourself. You don't know how to tie your shoes. We need help being in a body. And it doesn't stop there, unfortunately. We need help learning how to eat. We need help learning to manage our relationship with food. We need help learning to manage all the input that's coming in from the world that can be very upsetting, very confusing, very distorting, sometimes kind of mean. We have to learn how to put up our immune screens a little bit. Evelyn says, hello from LA. Hello, Miss Evelyn. Liz says, in the training you talked about how to work with a client who is giving yes, no, I don't know answers. What if they don't open up? What would you do to engage a client who is shut down? Oh, you ever have this happen? You're with somebody, you're with a client, and you're asking all these beautiful, juicy questions, and they go, I don't know. Yes, no. Okay. I love those clients. I mean it. I live for that moment. I'm serious. Because here's why. That way of being in conversation when you, Mr. and Mrs. Client, are paying me money is so silly. Is so a waste of your time, energy, and money that when we correct that misperception, your life is going to be so much better when you get that the way you're communicating doesn't work. So that's my inner attitude. Okay? So everything starts, if you want to move and shift a client in a particular direction, you have to be clear inside yourself first. By the way, I talk about this in the training. I'm telling you about this now. You have to be clear inside yourself first. I am clear, like 1,000% clear. When my client is conducting themselves in that way, A, that is not acceptable. That is not a good behavior. That's not a good way to be. I'm not being judgmental. I'm being clear. That behavior gets you nowhere. So in that moment, what's happening is the person is either encountering their fear, and that's how their fear is showing up. They're encountering their resistance. They're encountering their anxiety. Maybe they're testing you a little bit. And plus they're in their habit. I don't know. Nah, you figure it out. You do it. You do the work. And that's why they're coming to, so that's exactly why they're coming to see you. So what I'm going to say to that client is, oh, time out, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Here's what I want to say. You are seeing me. Why? You said you came to see me. So you always feed back to them. Why are they here to see you? Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Client, you came to see me because you wanted to work on your binge eating, and you've been binge eating a long time, and you haven't been able to work it out and figure it out. So here's what I need. If we're going to help you get where you want to go, I need you to dive in with me. I need you to do some work. So when I ask you a question, yes or no ain't going to cut it. I want words. And I will laugh just like I'm saying it to you now. Mr. and Mrs. Client, I need words from you. This doesn't work. So I'm talking like I'm talking to a friend. I'm talking like I'm talking on a first date, or if it's the third or fourth time I'm seeing my client on a third or fourth date, like, no, wait a second. You got to talk to me. This habit doesn't work. In fact, it's this way of how you conduct yourself, i.e., not showing up, not sharing, not revealing yourself, not being fully willing to dive in and do the work with me. That might be the very thing that is helping you fuel your binge eating and stopping you from overcoming it. So I am going to coach my client into showing up. It's our job. And you have to do that with a smile on your face while you are being very clear with them, is my short answer to that question, Liz. I hope that was helpful for you. And it's such a great question. Sydney, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming by. Oh, boy. Okay. So, my friends, what a good conversation. What a good thing. In suggestion, practice this. Just practice it with your clients. Practice it for the rest of the day. Practice it for your next few meetings, for your next few encounters. What would you say if this was your last engagement, your last dinner out with somebody? And it doesn't mean, oh, I need to share with you all my deepest, darkest secrets. It's like, what would you say that would really advance the person sitting next to you? What does the universe want to say to them that can conceivably come through you? So it's always bigger than us. It's bigger than what's in your head. It's bigger than what you can figure out. It's you being a mouthpiece for something greater. And when you and I are doing our best, do our best to be a mouthpiece, a voice for something greater, for a greater wisdom to come through us, there's a level where you can't go wrong. There's a level where you automatically get an A+ for effort. You get an A+ for heart. You get an A+ for soul. And however effective you are, there's your grade. But right then and there, wow, you've given a lot, and you've probably given something that person usually doesn't get. And once again, people are always wondering, and our coaches are always asking, and it's a great question, how do I get more clients? How do I get more clients? I want to build my business. This is one of the greatest ways on the planet of getting more clients, is being worth it. It really is, you and I being worth it. And the way we be worth it is we increase our value. Of course, we increase our skills. We practice more. We get more experience under our belt. But we commit to delivering. This, what we're talking about, this timeless coaching tip today, learning how to time shift, treating each session as if it's your last. What you are saying is, you are saying to the world, to the universe, to your client, this session has value. I'm giving it all I got. How could you not increase your business like that? I think, my friends, correct me if you think I'm wrong, we live in a time where, real value is not always given. We get sold stuff that doesn't have the value that we were told it has. So much of the time, marketing is just trying to sell you nonsense that you don't need, that's not built well, that's not going to last. And I object. I don't like that. I don't like it. So I change it in my own life. So I learn to do my best to deliver value. So at the end of the day, when I go to sleep, I can say to myself, oh, okay, I delivered the best value that I could. And then we can sleep a little easier. So Cindy says, maybe ask a client what sensation they have in their body and where, when they have vague answers, then takes them to a different place of feeling too. Beautiful point. Thank you for saying that. So, my friends, there's so much more to say about this, and hopefully this landed for you. And treat each session as if it's your last on earth and you want to deliver some of your best moments. Each conversation, see what happens, play with it. Life is play. This work, in so many ways, it's work, but it's also play. And when we learn to play with it a little more and play with ourselves and be playful with our client, because treating each session as if it's your last, it's a way of playing with how we express ourselves. It's a way of playing with consciousness. And it's a beautiful form of play, I think. So anyway, my friends, I hope this was helpful for you. I want to remind you once again, if you are new to this work, if you're just learning about us, and if you want to learn more about our upcoming training, our professional training, so much of what I talk about here, covered in our eating psychology and mind-body nutrition certification training. We already have a great group of new students enrolled for this upcoming winter training. It starts in a couple months. We're accepting applications now. Email us at info@psychologyofeating.com, and we can help get you set up, answer your questions. So that's info@psychologyofeating.com. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Hetty. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Liz. So appreciate it. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad we get to share this time together. Thanks so much, my friends. More to come.